What is up, DSM? It's another Wednesday. We're so excited to be back. It is week 2 of our GOAT series, but before we move forward, we have to settle something that happened last week. So last week, there was this debate about red vines and Twizzlers, and there were some in the room who were talking about how no, Twizzlers are the straw ones. And so I decided to go out and get 5 pounds of red dye number 40 from each brand.
Perfect.
To check and make sure. And so we were able to confirm that red vines are indeed the better straws. They do have the softer mouthfeel, slightly different flavor, a little less sweet. Now, Twizzlers, they're great in their own right. And here's what I learned, Nathan. You ready?
Yeah.
Apparently, red vine, this is like a West Coast, East Coast battle because red vines are like very much West Coast. I guess like they're made in California. Twizzlers are very much East Coast. And so as we get here into the middle of our country, we're going to have a good blend of people liking both. All that to say, they're both candy. You like what you like, but remember, the better straw, if you're looking for a straw, you're going to get it from the red vine. And actually, because we love you guys so much, your leaders have some red vines and Twizzlers to hand out while we get this thing going. So hand those out because
it's game time.
All right, man. I'm so excited about our game tonight. In honor of the series being called GOAT, I figured instead of arguing about what is the greatest, let's look at like some actual goats today.
Okay, that's fun.
Specifically,
like the animal.
The animal.
I mean, you're down below.
Yeah. Hey, yeah, like the animal. So this game, let's just watch it so we can figure out what it's called.
I'm so excited.
So screaming goat or fainting goat. I think what's going to happen is we're going to see a couple seconds of a clip, and then we have to decide if the goat that's in that clip is going to be a screaming goat or a fainting goat.
What's a faint? Like, is that a thing?
Have you ever seen a goat faint?
No.
Oh, dude, it's hilarious.
I guess I'm about to, huh?
Yeah. So I guess when they get scared, they will often just like freeze and fall over, just completely stiff.
I love it.
It's absolutely hilarious. So let's jump right in.
All right. So I have to decide if that.
We have to decide if he's going to scream or faint. So let's do like thumbs up for scream and thumbs down for faint, just so like it's super easy.
Okay.
All right.
Scream.
You guys ready? Here we go. 3, 2, 1. Yeah, I think he's a screaming goat.
I think so. Let's. Why do goats scream like humans?
Dude, I love it. It is hilarious.
That's my favorite.
All right, next one. Here we go. I can go both ways on this.
Yep, that's tough.
He's looking at
I like
something.
the little shadow.
Yeah, like scared goat.
All right.
Okay. 3, 2, 1.
Oh, we're going a different way this time. Oh, he's screaming. I was like, who is that?
I thought that was a person just yelling in the background.
I know, they scream like humans.
That's hilarious. I love it. Is he wearing a jacket?
Yeah, it's chilly. Oh. Wait, does he have 6 legs?
Does he have 2 heads?
Oh, there's another goat behind
2 goats there. All right. Okay, I'm ready. 3, 2, 1.
He looks like a scared little guy. Looks like I was thinking he's overheating.
Yep. Oh, that's
what? This is just gonna be nothing but screaming. Maybe goats don't ever faint. That's the joke.
These screams are hilarious.
These screams are hilarious.
All right, let's see the next one.
At this point, I just feel weird about it because I'm like, we've got to have a fainting one eventually.
Right.
All
right. 3, 2, 1.
I'm gonna say fainting. Theoretically, I'll get it right eventually.
That's actually a good point.
I don't think goats faint.
There's got to be. I've seen a fainting goat.
I don't think it's a
in
thing.
real life even.
I don't think it's a thing.
Here we go. I can't see his face. The shadow's in the way. He's by himself in the middle of a field. All right. 3, 2, 1.
I got to get it right eventually.
That might be my favorite goat scream. Oh man. Okay.
All right. So next time, if I vote screaming, that's gonna
It's
be
gonna be the fainting one. So I'll vote fainting next time. Then. Oh, look how cute he is. I can't believe I just said that about a goat.
I don't think he's cute. Look at that weird on his head. His like horn is cut off.
I was just thinking his tiny little body.
That's fair. But his face is like an old man.
He's like the Oompa Loompa of goats. Yeah.
All right.
Okay. 3, 2, 1.
You still didn't do it. I thought you were gonna go faint.
That's like the most pathetic little scream. That's like in The Lion King when,
Simba tries to roar.
He tries to roar first and it's like, meow.
I hate this game.
All right, here we go. Oh, look at that. Well, okay, if he's being held, he's not going to faint.
That's not true. He could. His eyes are terrifying.
Yeah, goats are actually kind of creepy.
What is wrong with their eyes?
At the goat, the more creepy they are.
Well, that's why they're the animal for Satan.
Oh, that's a good point.
All right.
3, 2, 1.
I guess I might as well vote scream.
Yeah, he's not going to faint in his arms.
No kidding.
Are they all screaming? They can't all be screaming.
You would think.
It wouldn't be called screaming or fainting. All right, this is going to be the one. I know what I'm voting on this one. You ready?
Sure.
3, 2, 1. They're going to faint.
They better.
Because there's more than one now.
I've got to get
this
one
has to
fainting.
be what's different about it.
Finally.
Okay,
it was just so afraid of the basketball.
If you chuck a ball at a goat, it'll faint. Hey, we got a fainting one, right? That's exciting. All right, this is a little guy again. But all right, I'm not going to say my strategy till after we vote.
Okay.
3, 2, 1. Yeah, he's screaming. He's by himself.
Right.
All the by themselves ones, he's been a screamer.
The goats only faint if they're in
They
groups.
faint in pairs.
How was that a scream?
Oh my goodness,
This is
that
the
was
weirdest
a scream.
game.
This is so weird. Oh, he's like an old guy. Look at that beard.
Billy Goat
Love it.
Gruff.
Okay. 3, 2, 1.
I'm going to the same.
You know why?
Because he's old?
No, yes. But he's in like this little space and there's a step off. I think he doesn't recognize a step off. It freaks him out and he faints.
All right. Let's see if you're right.
Come on, buddy. Scoot. And there he goes.
Why do their legs go like...
That was not what I was expecting it to look like, but that is fantastic.
Well, I mean, you were pretty much right, though.
He stepped off and he fainted.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. But, all right, these guys are ridiculous.
Okay.
We have a pair game.
Although, no, your
because the
strategy's
last
wrong.
one was alone.
And there was that one where we thought it had six legs.
Six-legged,
And it
two-headed
screamed,
goat.
so.
All right, that strategy did not work. All right, 3, 2, 1.
I wasn't ready. Yeah, I'm going to go.
We got to get more feints in here, I feel like.
Right.
It's got to balance out in the end. Or not.
Oh, man. Hey, they both do. Are they actually fainting or are they like playing
dead? Yeah.
Interesting. Okay. Hey, we both got it.
The dog made him both faint. Okay. We have a lot of goats here.
Yeah. So if it's more than 2. All right, I'm ready.
3, 2, 1.
Oh, we're finally. Come on.
That's so mean. And look at the dog.
They all go.
Oh man!
All right, here's my question: did you somehow accidentally sort this into just?
I just
screams and
I
faints?
grabbed all the video clips without watching them and threw them in because it was question answer, question answer, question answer. So I just put them in that order.
That's so funny. All right.
That's awesome. First of all, if you own a goat, can I please come try and make it faint because this looks like a really fun game.
If you own a goat, comment below because I don't know if anybody we know owns goats.
What if they go down the slide? I don't see a slide, but I
that'd
assume
be hilarious.
A slide, yeah.
All right.
Yeah, I'm ready. Let's just go. 3, 2, 1.
Oh, he's gonna drown! Oh no! Get him out of there! This is making me nervous. Okay,
I
good.
love that the person with the camera just stands there filming it.
That's terrible.
As if this happens regularly.
It probably does. They're like,
And they're like, he'll be fine. Yeah.
he's already got enough brain damage.
Yeah.
That's why he keeps falling in the pool.
You said scream on that one, huh?
No.
Oh, you said faint.
I said
also?
faint.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think I'm still winning.
You are for sure still winning.
We've had a couple faints in a row, but that means nothing because we had like 5 screams in a row.
It means nothing.
He's at a fence as if there's someone or something there.
Yep.
So is he going to yell at it, or is that person going to scare him and he's going to faint? Or she? I don't know what it is. It could be anything.
Could be whatever.
3, 2, 1. Oh, no.
Wait. Did he...
There it is.
Oh,
goat
he
was
wasn't
like,
sure what he wanted to do.
Yeah, do I want to faint or do I want to run? Everyone else
my
ran. I'll
goodness.
just freeze.
That's amazing.
Hey, you got that one and I didn't.
I know. I'm
Well
coming
done.
back.
I think this one's going to be absolutely hilarious.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
I'm excited for what I think is going to happen. 3, 2, 1.
That's why
Yeah.
you went 3, 2, 1.
I was just so excited. I was so excited.
All right.
All right. Yes.
Oh, no.
Ricky.
And then,
Oh,
and he screamed. All right, so if you said fainting
either
or
way.
screaming, you get that point. That's the last one.
That's so funny.
Yeah. Congratulations. Let
That
us
was
know how
terrible.
many you got right.
I hated that.
And while we go to a quick break, give us your best goat impression with your group. We'll be right back.
Screaming or fainting.
Screaming or fainting. See ya.
Well, that was not fun. That game was dumb, Matthew.
Wow.
I just did really bad. I'm sorry.
It's true.
It didn't make any sense. I do like the goat screaming.
It was fun because it was funny, but it wasn't fun because...
It wasn't fun because I lost. Well, because, I mean, the fact is they were almost perfectly sorted, one or the other, and so it really messed with me.
So people who are like, well, I'm just going to go every other.
You would have gone really bad.
Yeah, you got worked. Yep. Sorry about that, guys.
That's okay. Well, I'm glad we're moving into the actual lesson for tonight. Going back into the GOAT series, talking about the actual greatest of all time, Jesus.
Jesus,
Going
man.
to the book of Matthew again, right?
Yeah, we're going to be in Matthew this whole series. It's kind of awesome.
It's a series in Matthew. It's really fun. So with that, Matt, what are we learning about tonight?
Well, we're going to continue to look at some of the greatest statements from Jesus, right? But before we get into that, I want to ask the question, like, what does greatness actually look like? Like, what has to be present in someone's life for you to describe them as great? I know some of you guys in your groups last week, you talked about people in your life who you think are the GOAT beyond Jesus. But what is it about them that makes them great? So you guys can pause this if you want, or you can talk about it a little bit later. But like, Nathan, what comes to your mind? What are some characteristics of people who you would describe as great?
Like, you have to be just exceptionally good at whatever it is we're talking about.
Okay.
Right. So when I think of like, this is going to be a super nerdy deep cut, right?
I love it.
Adam, if you're watching this, you'll remember this. We were
like Adam of Adam and Eve.
Adam and Adam of Eve.
You're old.
Adam of my son.
Oh, yes.
Adam and Eve, they're not watching this right now. They're dead. But
Too soon.
Too soon? At any rate, it was a long time ago. But okay. Adam of not Adam and Eve, of Webb. and I were watching something a couple weeks ago, and it was, Luke, you'll appreciate this too. We were watching like this tournament level Magic the Gathering, like final match. And when they started it, this was like such a high level play of cards that both Adam and I, we couldn't even follow it. We're like, how does this even make sense? And then it was over and this guy won. And it was so highly, perfectly executed. It blew us both away.
Interesting.
So that, when I think of the greatest, I think of that.
Oh my goodness.
Things like that.
I was so lost the entire time you were talking.
This is how I feel when watching football.
That's
is
fair.
how other people feel
yeah.
watching this.
So he dominated.
Right.
He had elite skill in his
a lot of skill.
cardness.
Oh, I watched another guy on TikTok. Excuse me. He was a drummer. And he did, he was doing this thing where it was like a Dragon Force song, Fire in the Flames, which is a crazy song. And he was doing it with one hand.
Really?
And it was insane. Okay. And I found out later he had 4 bass drum pedals. So 2 for a bass drum, 1 for the like a clicky shaker thing, and 1 that hit a snare.
A clicky shaker thing.
Yeah.
Huh.
It was cool. It was like
that's
a
lot
tambourine
to like
almost.
process in your mind. So like there's a high level of intelligence with that too, I feel like.
Yeah, it was amazing.
Okay. All right. So there's some maybe examples of what makes someone great. Yeah. Obviously it's like they're superior than other people in whatever the category is, right? Like that's typically
superior is a good word.
So some of you name some people in your life who are just like superior at like kindness and encouragement and love. And like, those are awesome reasons to be great. In fact, I would maybe even say those are probably better reasons than maybe I'm the biggest, fastest, strongest.
Right.
We can go back to Travis Kelce and Taylor Swift that we talked about last week, but I'd rather not.
Not interested in.
There was so much Swift last week. It was terrible. So with this idea of greatness and some of the characteristics of greatness in your mind, let's get back to Jesus.
Good idea.
Because that's the good stuff.
Yeah.
And let's see how Jesus might define greatness. So we're going to be in Matthew chapter 23.
Okay.
But as we get there, quick review from last week. You had these religious leaders, Pharisees and Sadducees. They're trying to trap Jesus. They had a lot of power, a lot of influence in the community. And they viewed themselves as like the rulers over the people. Like they were the man type of thing, right? And so Jesus comes and he's popular and he has a different style of teaching that he brings. And it overshadowed these religious leaders, at least in their eyes. They're like, well, Jesus is here and he's, last week I said he usurps their authority type of thing. Yeah. So Jesus gave like the smackdown of smackdowns to these guys and it was awesome and we loved it. But he said some things then to the crowds and to his disciples after it that I think takes us a little bit further. So let's look at Matthew chapter 23.
Okay. Matthew 23 verses 1-4. Then Jesus said to the crowds and to his disciples, the teachers of religious law and the Pharisees are the official interpreters of the law of Moses. So practice and obey whatever they tell you, but don't follow their example, for they don't practice what they teach. They crush people with unbearable religious demands and never lift a finger to ease the burden. Wow.
Seriously, like this is
harsh.
Like dripping with confrontation, right?
Yeah, I
like,
love it.
Jesus wasn't content just having evaded the trap that these religious leaders had just tried to set for him.
Right.
Now he's going to get him back, right? He's calling them out. He's calling them hypocrites. They don't practice what they teach. Like that's the definition of hypocrisy, right? Say one thing, I do another.
Right.
And then he doesn't just stop there. Like this is enough right here to just like, yes, game over. Yep. Another mic drop moment.
Right. It's awesome.
Really proving himself as the GOAT. Like, yes, listen to what they say, but don't do what they do. And that's like a warning, I feel like, for us too, is does what I say actually line up with how I live? Right. Do they actually work together? So let's keep going because Jesus keeps going.
In 23, 5-7, everything they do is for show. On their arms, they wear extra wide prayer boxes with scripture verses inside, and they wear robes with extra long tassels, and they love to sit at the head table at banquets and in the seats of honor in the synagogues. They love to receive respectful greetings as they walk in the marketplaces and to be called rabbi.
So it's all about show for them,
all
right?
about the show, all about the external. It's like the people who are like, I'm going to wear my scrubs to lunch because everybody should call me doctor.
It's exactly like that. I wasn't expecting that. All right, let's keep going. Let's keep going.
Okay.
What else does Jesus say? Verse 8 to 10.
He says, don't let anyone call you rabbi, for you have only one teacher, and all of you are equal as brothers and sisters. And don't address anyone here on earth as father, for only God in heaven is your father. And don't let anyone call you teacher, for you have only one teacher, the Messiah. Oh.
Yeah. So that's good. So Jesus isn't just like picking on the religious leaders. He's now like explaining how it should be. Right. So like he goes from this is why they're so terrible, but now let's like get a little bit into what really matters. And it's not calling people rabbi or teacher or whatever it is and that's another interesting thing.
Yep.
Are we more focused on title of a man, of a person, than focused on Christ?
Right.
And I think that's what Jesus is calling out here. Like those things ultimately don't matter.
Yep.
It's about the Messiah. It's about Jesus.
Yeah, don't worry about these titles and all like the baggage that maybe comes along with it. Like just follow God.
I like that a lot. And so then all this sets up Jesus moving to this super clear description of what greatness should look like. So what does he say in verse 11 and 12?
The greatest among you must be a servant, but those who exalt themselves will be humbled, and those who humble themselves will be exalted.
This is like an upside down way of thinking from our culture, right? Like we are the exact opposite in our culture. It's if I want to be great, I need to like power myself over you. I need to step on you on my way to the top type of thing. Yeah. But Jesus says absolutely not. Like it's time to do something different. It's time to be a servant.
That's cool.
And this is, again, the opposite of the religious leaders because they were just flaunting their power. They weren't actually lifting a finger to ease the burden of the people as Jesus was calling them out for. And it kind of reminds me like, and Jesus does this a lot where we have like this expectation and then like reality. So it's something like with cheeseburgers, right? This is the expectation of what we're going to go and order and get. And then in reality, this is what we end up getting, right? And so there's a difference there. So there's an expectation with the religious leaders that flaunting power equals greatness. But the reality that Jesus says is the greatest among you must be a servant.
Yeah.
And there's another one, the religious leaders, their expectation was, well, I need to seek recognition for how great I am, right?
Yeah.
But Jesus said, those who exalt themselves will be humbled. Those who humble themselves will be exalted. Now, I think it's easy for us to like criticize these religious leaders. But if we go back to how Jesus defined greatness, maybe we should pull back the harsh tone that we might have towards them.
Right.
Because if you go back to like how we talked about greatness at the beginning, it's like those elite skills and just like superior dominance in the field, maybe some strength, some confidence, these identifiable ways to show that like, well, I'm better than you at this thing.
Yeah.
Like choosing goat screaming or goat
You're better at that. Okay.
But like those definitions, I feel like that leans more towards some of the religious leaders. It was flaunting power, right? The greatest was because he showed dominance over them. And Jesus says it's being a servant.
Right. It's those who humble themselves are great.
Yeah. Now, I don't think I want to sit here and say that, well, that means that the way that we define greatness is just absolutely wrong. I think we're looking at completely different categories.
Sure.
Because I can be great in a sport because I'm really good at it and I'm humble about it. Right. I think both those things matter, at least in the way that I like respect you as an athlete.
Right.
Right. My parents were in town a couple of weeks ago and we were watching football together. And it was so funny because after every like tackle or catch or whatever it might be, the player is then like celebrating, like flaunting it around. And my mom was so mad at them. She's like, I hate that they do that. Like just play the stupid game.
Yeah.
And that's true. Like that's what like Jesus is talking about. It's like, dude, just play the game.
Right.
Do the thing. Don't flaunt it. Don't focus on like all the glory for you because it's not about you. So maybe a couple of things that we can learn here about greatness from Jesus' perspective, right? First, he taught that it comes through serving. Can you think of anyone or an example, Nathan, where you saw like greatness because someone served? I know I'm kind of putting you on the spot
That
here,
is,
but
I mean,
obviously outside of Jesus.
I was gonna say outside of Jesus it's tough because when you think of Jesus, you think of like when he washed the disciples' feet,
Yep.
and what an act of humility and service that was. I think of an example like that I personally have witnessed.
Yeah. See, the fact that it's hard to think about, and it might be for you guys too, tells us that we're not very good at actually pursuing the greatness the way that Jesus defines it. I think of like James and John, a couple chapters earlier here, and this would be so embarrassing if I were them. But what happened was there was this odd request that Jesus received from the mother of James and John, right?
Yep.
And so like a lot of people, they assumed that Jesus had come. He was going to be the next king of Israel. And so the mom, I think, was part of that camp of like assuming he's gonna be the next king. So it's like, all right, can my boys sit at your left and your right hand? Like, can they be number 1 and 2 to you, Jesus?
That's so funny.
And seriously, like, can you imagine? Maybe you can imagine, maybe like you're involved in some sort of extracurricular activity or like sports or whatever. And like you have the mom or the dad who like tries to go up and butter up the coach and be like, oh, my son needs more playing time. My daughter needs more playing time. And then tries to like coach for the coach. Like it's embarrassing as a player when that happens.
Right.
When I played football in high school, I had a friend whose mom was totally that person. And every time he just like walked away with his head down, was like, like mumbling bad things under his tongue. So yeah,
I wonder if it
weird.
was more like, oh, mom, come on, don't say that. But yeah, what about it, Jesus?
Right? Yeah, there's a little bit of, mom, I'm so embarrassed, but I'm glad you asked it, not me, because I really want to know if I can sit there. That's so funny.
I don't know.
Yeah, so like, there's also just a wrong assumption, I think, that Jesus came to just be king of Israel when he was king of the world. He's king of kings, right?
King of kings, yep.
And so this actually probably, as you might think would happen, frustrated the rest of the disciples. Let's actually read about that. Matthew chapter 20, verses 24 to 26.
When the other 10 disciples heard what James and John had asked, really it was their mom, but
right, isn't it funny that like so the other disciples then assumed, oh, it was James and John that asked this, not mom.
Yeah. They were indignant, but Jesus called them together and said, you know that the rulers in this world lord it over people, and officials flaunt their authority over those under them. But among you it will be different. Whoever wants to be a leader among you must be your servant.
So there it is again, right? Greatness comes through serving others.
Right.
Like that's a huge thing. And the cool thing about Jesus is he didn't just tell us that. He actually showed us, right? Jesus showed us that greatness is achieved by serving. So this is where we can get into some of that stuff that when I said, can you think of an example of someone showing their greatness through service? Well, it's Jesus, right? And he shows us this, Matthew chapter 20. What's he say?
For the Son of Man came not to be served, but to serve others and to give his life as a ransom for many.
Yeah.
I think part of what makes it hard to think of practical examples sometimes also is that those who are actually serving well and humbly, we don't see it.
Right. At least you shouldn't.
And so it's not like it comes to my mind because they're not. It's like there was, I think it was maybe Hurricane Katrina, and there were some celebrities who went out there to help with the cleanup effort, and they brought a film crew with them to film them helping. It's like, you've kind of missed the point. Now, let me think of the counter example. After 9/11, the actor Steve Buscemi, who used to be a firefighter in New York before he was an actor, went back and started volunteering. And most people didn't even hear about it because he didn't make it a big thing. He didn't make it.
He just went there to serve.
He just went there because he legitimately wanted to serve.
Yeah.
So
another negative example I think of more recently is the fires in Maui.
Oprah and The Rock.
Oprah, well, yeah, there's a lot with it, but Oprah actually went to one of the places where, like one of the schools that they're using as a shelter with her film crew, and they said, get out.
Oh, man.
Like, we don't want this. If you want to come in here and help, that's fine, but leave your film crew at the door.
Yeah.
Like, that's not what this is about. And so, kind of that same thing of like, what's the motive? And so humble service is what Jesus gave us the example for. And then he tells us in chapter 23, verse 3, practice and obey, right? We just read this, what they tell you, but don't follow their example. Like, what I love about Jesus is of anyone that has ever existed, he's the only one who could actually say, I deserve to be served.
Right.
Like, none of us are worthy of that and deserve to be served. Like, we haven't done enough, right? Like, you think of the humility of Jesus. He could have come to earth as that all-powerful, mighty warrior king.
Right.
He came in very humble conditions, right? That baby born in that manger, right? He could have earned tons of money, but instead he came as like the son of a poor carpenter family, right? So like very humble conditions. He could have hung out with like those religious leaders, and those could have been his closest friends, but instead he chose like the outcast, the broken, the low in at least social status to be his closest followers. And like just time after time, you see the people that he healed and he hung out with versus the people he called out.
Right.
And he gave this example of like what it means to live out greatness through humility and service. And I love it. So like we mentioned last week, we don't want to just leave you with, here's how great Jesus is, though that is more than enough.
Yeah.
Because he's more than enough. But we want to give you guys some challenges, some things to think about.
Right.
Maybe some things that you can do as a result of what we see from Jesus.
Well, and it's like what Jesus is saying, like, we're not going to just learn it and then not do it, because that's what the Pharisees did, right? They knew it, but they didn't practice it.
Yeah.
We want to be different. We want to know it and live it.
I love it. So what are a few ways that you can live out like service and humility? One is choose to serve like in your church, right? Most of you are part of Discovery Fellowship here. And so choose to find a place to serve here. I love what Jesus says. Actually, we'll get to that in a second. But like the pathway to greatness, if that's found in serving, it's weird to think like, oh, well, if I just serve at a local church, that's a pathway to greatness.
Right.
The goal isn't necessarily greatness. The goal is to live more like Jesus.
Right.
And so if I'm going to do that, I need to find places to serve. And your local church community is a great place for that.
And I'm going to put in a plug right now. If you are here as one of our Discovery students, we have a lot of places that we would love to have you serve. And some of them aren't going to be the most like
Glamorous.
out in front, glamorous. Like we have open, like if you wanted to serve on our broadcast team, you're like in a back room. Nobody will see you. If you're on the slides, it's oftentimes very dull until something breaks, but you're not going to get a lot of credit for that. Yeah. But we would love to have you, like, talk to your leader if that would be something you want to do, because we would love to have you serve there.
Yeah. Set up, clean up, special event stuff. Like there's so many ways that you can be involved, and it doesn't have to be like in front of everyone and receiving all like the fame and glory. So yeah, serve at your church. Another great place is you can choose to serve your family. This is an interesting one because a lot of us, especially as like teenagers, you think that your family exists for your good, right?
Right.
But what if like we flip the script the way that Jesus often does? And what if we decided to serve and in a way that like actually honors God? In Matthew 15, Jesus said something about that.
He says, but you say it is all right for people to say to their parents, sorry, I can't help you, for I have vowed to give God what I would have given you. In this way, you say they don't need to honor their parents. And so you cancel the word of God for the sake of your own tradition.
Yeah. So something that like I think of is, let's say like dad asks you to help him do something, clean the garage or whatever it might be. And you say, sorry, dad, I can't, I'm going to go serve at the church.
Right.
Like that's not the right thing. You're not saying, sorry, family, I can't help you because I have to go serve over here. Like parents have a lot on their plate. Like I'm a parent of a couple of you, 3 of you watching this right now. Mm-hmm. Wow, that's a lot of you people. And like there are expectations for me, right? I work, you know, my wife and I work, we take care of the home, we make meals, we take care of the house, we juggle the finances, we do all these things, right? And so an opportunity for you as like sons and daughters to serve your parents is huge and goes a long way. Now, I'm not saying that because I'm trying to guilt my boys into it. I'm saying it because I think for all of you students, it's going to be beneficial for your relationship with God and with your parents to like sacrificially serve them.
Yeah, and the other way I would see that in your family kind of playing out, especially if you have siblings, and it's like, oh well, I did it last time, shouldn't somebody else do it?
Right.
When you're asking that question, that's not necessarily serving with humility. It's like, you know what? I'm just going to take care of it.
It's a chore checklist type of thing.
It's not my turn, quote unquote, to do it. Maybe I'll just take care of it and help out. Yeah,
serving your siblings is another great way to serve your family. I love that. And like, how humble is that to just do it, right? Because I know a lot of us, we don't always get along with our siblings all the time. And so to say, hey, you know what? I'm going to help you out with this. I'm going to help you with a school project or your homework you're struggling with, or man, I know mom was getting on your case about cleaning your room this week and it's a big task. I'm going to help. Yeah. Like these are huge things and such humble things that you can do. Again, though, like that's what's hard with humility is as soon as I say I'm so humble for doing this, I'm not humble for doing it. Right. And so it's a heart thing. Like, am I serving because I actually want to love you and love God like we talked about last week? All right. Final place we can choose to serve is other people. Right. Like last week, we talked about loving God and loving our neighbors, like equal with it. And so everyone we come in contact with, am I putting their needs above mine? And that's so difficult. And maybe something that you need to think through and pray through and spend a lot of time on asking God to like give you eyes to find those opportunities to love people through serving them. Right. It can be as simple as holding a door. It can be you both go after that last 5-pound tub of red vines. And actually that happened this week when I was picking these up. It was the last tub. Like I had to get bottom shelf. I was on my knees, reached down behind and found it.
Gotta go, there's
and
red
grabbed
vines.
it. And like someone was walking by and like saw me grab it and put it in my cart. And then they stopped like right in front of that section. So I actually stopped and waited to make sure that that's not what they wanted, because I was like, well, I can get a smaller tub. I don't need 5 pounds of red vines.
Nobody needs 5 pounds of red vines. You
seriously,
get 5 pounds of red vines.
It's probably bad that other person didn't want this, because then I actually got it instead of a small little 1 pound bag. Right. So it can be simple stuff like that, but then it could be like, man, making a meal for, someone who recently like went through a hard time or, got laid off or whatever it might be. Like you can find ways to serve other people around you. So we serve God by being involved in our local church and serving our family and serving other people. Like it all goes back to, we do those things because of the example that Jesus set for us and in obedience to what he's called us to.
Love it. Well, that's it for today. We're going to head out into our small group. So thanks again for tuning in, and we'll see you next week.
Bye.